Have you got everything you needed? Photographs, pictures? We got a professional photographer with a piece of crap camera. How about that?
Roll sound, please.
All right, let's do it. Action! In the fall of 2014, Daniel Noah, who is my producing partner and also the screenwriter of the film, he and we were in prep for a film that we were going to be producing. The film, however, pushed and it left this gap within our production schedule that needed to be filled. We started brainstorming about projects that we could get greenlit as quickly as we could, and the only filmmaker that I felt anywhere near comfortable putting in that kind of position, which is a risky one, was myself. Dan and I bounced a few ideas off each other, but eventually he was like, what about that idea you had about a photographer who takes some iconic photograph?
So, no flames on this one?
When we're covering her initial.
Well, I'm asking.
She's gonna be using that knife to like repair her camera strap, and then she's gonna start taking out. I mean, you're gonna be living on her through this entire thing.
Yeah. And
I thank you for that.
Who am I? Just but a pair of boots.
Avery, watch that hot pop of light.
Camino was very important to both of us, that we anchored the action in real, genuine emotional stakes for the characters. It's still character-driven, and there's still deep themes and important, resonant, emotional ideas. Zoe's character, Avery, is struggling through a very difficult time in her emotional life as she is trying to confront her grief over the loss of her husband, and the events of Camino really force her to deal with that loss and to make a decision about her will to live and her will to go on.
I merely take the photos. I hide behind my little camera and I press my little button. You could say I was a professional coward.
We were set to make another film at the end of 2014 that fell through, and we found we had a hole in our schedule. So we very quickly went and approached Ehud Bleiberg and Nick Donnermeyer about the possibility of funding Camino, which at that time was just a concept that Waller had come up with. They were agreeable to the idea, and we went in on Halloween night to sign a contract. And as I read it over, I noticed that the script was due the following Monday, and that there had been a misunderstanding that they thought there was already a screenplay. I said, wow, that's only a few days from now. And they said, yes, is there a problem? And I said, nope, no problem, and signed the contract. Went and picked up my daughter, went trick-or-treating. The next day, Waller and I got together. We beat it out, the entire story, and I then locked myself in a room and wrote the entire script in 2 days, which, if you like the movie, is incredibly impressive, and if you don't, it explains everything. I liken it to the stories you hear of a 100-pound woman whose child is pinned under an automobile and somehow finds the strength to lift it. I don't know that I could ever write a script in 2 days again, but somehow managed to pull it off.
One of the initial hurdles that we had to overcome was the fact that our overall budget didn't even meet the minimum requirements for the Colombian rebates, which meant that Colombia was out. Since the entire film, for the most part, was taking place in the jungle, we needed to try and figure out somewhere in the US that had jungles. And the only place we could come up with was Hawaii. So I got connected to a producer out of Honolulu who connected us with several key production people, and we began moving forward with a Hawaiian shoot. My older brother lives in Wailua over on the North Shore, and my younger brother Jacob and we flew out there, and then we immediately started location scouting while we were sharing a room over at my older brother's house. The casting process was interesting. We knew, Zoe, Nacho, Paco. Paco had recommended Tenoch to us. And through a friend of Daniel's, we were recommended Matthew Daddario. Dominic Raines was someone that we had worked before on A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night as we did with Sheila, who was the girl from Girl Walks on Water Night. Nancy Gomez came out to play Luna. She was a recommendation from a manager friend. And just on a whim for Mariana, and I was like, what about Sheila Vand? I just called Sheila out of the blue, and she was like, hey, Waller, what's up? And she's like, kind of was joking about, like, am I calling to offer her a part? And I was like, you know, awkward silence.
And action.
Now I can tell you what the spiral means. The spiral means no mosquitoes anymore.
Yeah, Avery was originally a male photojournalist, and then at one point he informed me that what they were considering was that they switch roles and that I play Avery, and Avery then, of course, be a woman. One of the things that Josh always kind of, I think, gets a kick out of attempting or experimenting with is, can you just switch the roles and not really rewrite it to be now a female role, but just that you now have a woman in the role of this photojournalist. I love that as an experiment and as a challenge.
Por favor, los niños.
Por favor. Los niños.
Por favor, los niños.
Por favor. Los niños.
Por favor, los niños.
Por favor, pedorro.
So January 3rd came, and we hit the ground running.
All right, here we go, everybody. First stop. Action.
Tu patita yo la vi. Vaya por Dios.
I'm very aware that I have ambitious desires with the films that I make, and this film was definitely ambitious, but everyone involved knew it was ambitious. And, you know, it was all those kind of people that don't, like, shy away from, you know, the tough stuff.
Here we go. And rehearsal's up.
Like I said, I was trying to put together like an A-team, and that applied to, you know, the cast and the crew. These were people that were willing to, you know, fight the good fight. You know, you're in the jungles and you don't have a lot of money.
You okay?
After we started shooting for 3 days, we got a call from the AD department of The Hateful Eight, because Zoe had been training for her role in that, and we were like, well, you know, when do you need her? And they were like, tomorrow. I essentially, like, begged and pleaded and was like, please, can we just have her, you know, for the rest of the week? They were okay with it, and they let us have Zoe for the week. They made some tweaks, which was really beautiful.
Hey, cut.
We finished out those 7 days, and then Zoe left, but that still, you know, meant that we only had our lead actress for 7 days of shooting. So it left us with, like, a lot of gaps. And we were gonna have to wait until Zoe was available again.
Awesome! I needed one of these.
That's just like going fuck up in the frame.
When we did come back, some things ended up changing. In the initial part of the shoot, Pat Healy had come out and was shooting with us.
Well, let's just bring her up on stage. Please, Avery Taggart.
When we came back, he was unavailable, couldn't get out of it. Dan and I talked about it, and he was like, well, what about Kevin? And he was referring to Kevin Pollak, who had just done Max Rose with Daniel.
Yep. Hey, look at that. Just in time.
Same thing happened with the role of Sebastian. Matt Daddario was unavailable. He was shooting a TV show up in Toronto and just didn't end up happening at the end of the day. But we got Jason Canella, who was a wonderful recommendation to us.
You've been to Disneyland 3 times.
I have, yes.
But by doing that, by recasting, you know, 2 of the roles, that means that we also lost footage from the first part of the shoot. So we ended up having to look at what we needed to go back and reshoot now that we had recast, and it was substantial. And this part of the shoot was going to be even shorter than the initial part. So we were really getting efficient at this point.
Classic.
Guys, would you mind lying down in your spots, please? I think that, you know, at least because camera's gonna be living on your profile right here, I kind of like the idea of, like, it's like, then we go there too, You're not, actually in this moment, you're not really looking at Mariana, you're not looking at anyone, you're looking at this stuff.
Look at them while singing, and I disappear.
Yep. At which point, when you leave, we'll just tilt back just a little bit and catch the rest of the squad coming. Luna and Tomas share a moment.
Right. So let's bloody up the soldiers.
Emmanuel, you've never looked so good.
Looks great. Let's shoot it.
And if we are not careful, she will kill us next.
We just kind of went for it. It forced us to take a look at the script and to go, where's the fat? What do we really need to push this story forward? So we started, cutting and really making it a lot leaner and pushing it actually more in the direction of the vision, the aesthetic vision that I had originally. So again, yes, it is a bummer that all of these things happened. It is a bummer that we didn't have as much money as we wanted and as much time as we wanted, but ultimately, at the end of the day, it's a better film, I think, because of all of those problems.